The harmattan came earlier that year. By dawn, a veil of red dust had swallowed the horizon. The great baobab tree at the edge of Umoka village was no longer clear. It stood as a ghostly shadow behind the haze. Chickens coughed softly as they scratched the ground, and children sneezed, their laughter muffled by the dry wind. Obioma stood at the doorway of her clay hut, her wrapper tied tightly around her waist, her headscarf barely holding against the restless air. She had lived through many harmattans, but this one felt different. Its breath carried a strange heaviness, as though it had traveled from the land of spirits. Close the calabash tightly, she called to her daughter, Neka, who was grinding millet. The dust will spoil it. Neka obeyed, though her eyes remained on the horizon. The restless girl was not afraid of storms, nor of traditions that warned against them. She was more curious than cautious, something Obioma feared. As Obioma turned back inside, a sudden gust rattled the palm roof. For a moment, she swore she heard something in the wind, not just the whistling of dry air, but words, faint and broken. Obioma. She froze, her heart quickening. That name, spoken in a voice she knew too well. A voice she had not heard in 15 years. Shaking her head, she pressed her hands to her ears. It is only the wind, she told herself. But deep down, she knew the harmattan carried more than dust this season. By nightfall, the entire village gathered in the square. Elders muttered that the early arrival of the harmattan was a bad omen. The air was too dry, the animals restless, the wells already low. The oldest among them, blind Papa Nwok, raised his cracked staff to the sky. His voice rasped like dried leaves. The harmattan has spoken, he said. And when the wind speaks, it is never without reason. The villagers murmured uneasily. Obioma shivered, clutching her daughter's hand, but her thoughts were elsewhere. For in the dust, she had heard her past calling. The harmattan deepened with each passing day. Dust lay thick on rooftops, crept into pots of food, and settled into the creases of every face. Yet, for Obioma, it was not the dust that troubled her most, it was the whispers. At first, they came only at dawn, when the air was still heavy and the world half asleep. A soft voice calling her name. Obioma. Sometimes it sounded like the wind brushing against dry grass. Sometimes it was so clear that she spun around, expecting to see someone behind her. But no one ever stood there. One evening, as she pounded yam outside, Neka paused mid-step, tilting her head. Did you hear that, Mama? The girl asked. Obioma's heart jumped. What did you hear? A man's voice. Like he was calling someone, Neka's brows furrowed. Calling you. The peso slipped from Obioma's hands. She forced a laugh, though her chest was tight. It is the wind, my child. The harmattan likes to play tricks. But Neka's eyes lingered on her mother, searching for something more. That night, Obioma could not sleep. She lay on her raffia mat, the air so dry it cracked her lips, and listened. The whispers came again. You cannot hide from me, Obioma. Her heart pounded. She knew that voice. Ikin. The boy she had once loved before her marriage, the boy who had vanished into the forest 15 years ago, never to be seen again. They had told her he was dead. She had buried his memory in silence. But the harmattan was unearthing it now. By dawn, she stumbled into the compound of Papa Nwok, the blind elder, desperate for answers. He listened quietly as she spoke of the whispers, his blind eyes lifted toward the rattling wind. Finally, he said. When the harmattan carries a voice, it is because something unfinished seeks to be remembered. If you ignore it, the wind will grow louder until even the earth itself listens. Obioma's stomach twisted. She left his hut with the uneasy certainty that the past she had buried was clawing its way back, carried on the dusty breath of the harmattan. Would you like me to continue with part 2? If so, comment part 2 in the comment section, follow me, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up and share.